This statue of Guan Yu at the courtyard of Sahn Chao Tha Reua is reputed to be the largest in Thailand's Phuket province. Guan Yu was a general during the Three Kingdoms period in China and later became a significant deity in Chinese religious and Taoist traditions. He remains a legendary figure in Chinese history and mythology, revered for his loyalty, bravery, and sense of justice. On April 22, 2024, Sahn Chao Tha Reua celebrated its 125th anniversary, and for this occasion, the shrine was decorated with colorful banners featuring Chinese characters and a large dragon constructed from separate discs in various colors and designs. To celebrate the anniversary and to add to the festive atmosphere, red lanterns and banners are hung inside and outside the shrine and along the pathways. In Chinese culture, red is a highly auspicious color that symbolizes good luck, joy, happiness, success, and prosperity, and is used to ward off evil spirits. Between the staircases is a decorative stone slab featuring depictions of three Ruisha, auspicious lions, playing with a ball that has a pattern resembling a three-dimensional flower of life. The staircases are flanked by dragon-shaped handrails and lead to the main hall. On a table on the front porch, some youngsters are preparing fruit offerings to be placed on the altar inside. Entering the hall through the right gate, we first come across an altar dedicated to Kuan Yu, the Chinese goddess of mercy. The shrine, also referred to as Tha Reua, is a prominent Thai Chinese place of worship where people seek blessings for health and healing from Po Seng Tai Te, a traditional Chinese god of medicine. His altar is situated at the center, behind the middle gate. To the left, behind the left gate, is an altar dedicated to Kuan Yu and other, primarily male deities. Strikingly, are the heads of some deities impaled on sticks. They represent oversized versions of the pins used by the shrine's Masong mediums to pierce their flesh. On the altar stands a brand new statue of Nezha, the Chinese child deity. Remarkably, his face and the tip of his spear are wrapped in paper, as the statue has yet to be officially inaugurated and unveiled. A red palanquin decorated with colorful triangular banners is set to carry religious statues, along with a selection of musical instruments, for the upcoming procession. A young lad has brought some ginger to the altar of Po Seng Tai Te. Recognized for its extensive healing properties in traditional Chinese medicine, ginger is a fitting offering to this Taoist god of medicine. A large incense burner with dragon handles, used for burning incense during rituals or prayers, is positioned at the center of the front corridor. The boy will later use the ginger, along with other healthful foods like broccoli, to craft a miniature natural landscape, but before preparations and rituals for the celebrations begin, we take a brief look at the area outside. By this point, some of the mediums have arrived and have begun performing rituals. This individual is in a trance, claiming to be possessed by the spirit of the deified General Guan Yu. He wears a green apron-like costume and is flanked by several assistants and two other mediums dressed in yellow aprons. These mediums, known as Masong, have all entered a trance-like state and are believed to be possessed by spirits of deities or deceased ancestors. While under possession, they perform various activities and rituals, and often exhibit distinctive behavior during these trances, like shaking their heads vigorously and appearing disconnected from their surroundings. Some Masong claim to gain clairvoyant abilities when possessed, and it appears this medium is practicing a form of divination. He has summoned some devotees and is giving them instructions. The medium, possessed by the spirit of Guan Yu, is babbling unintelligibly as foam forms on his lips. His assistants help communicate the message he is trying to convey. He wears a whip with a dragon-shaped handle around his neck, a distinctive attribute used by the Masong during certain rituals. While on duty, Masong go barefoot, and males wear white trousers, typically loose-fitting, fisherman-style pants, with or without a colorful apron. Their torsos are otherwise bare, often displaying intricate religious tattoos. To exit the trance state, the Masong approach the altar dedicated to their deity and perform a dramatic ritual. They strike the altar and then seemingly faint, at which point a helper catches them. Another attendant whispers incantations and slaps the Masong to revive them from their temporary unconsciousness. Whereas the rituals have concluded, devotees are busy preparing for the shrine's upcoming anniversary celebrations. The boy attending to the altar offerings is meticulously adding the final touches to his intricate creation, a rocky waterfall crafted from ginger, broccoli, mushrooms, and glass noodles. Meanwhile, the other mediums are performing the ritual to transition out of their trance and free themselves from the state of possession. Watching over the ritual performances are two statues of Tian Di Yuan Shui, the guardian deity of the performing arts, particularly traditional Chinese opera, who is typically portrayed with a black complexion, holding a pot with a yin-yang lid, wielding an axe, and, similar to Nezha, standing with one foot on a fire wheel. Before heading out, a few devotees gather on the front porch to rehearse with the musical instruments that will accompany the upcoming procession. The instruments include a small barrel-shaped drum, known as klong tuk, a set of hand cymbals called charp, and a small gong locally referred to as kong mo. Read from right to left, the Chinese characters on the Miao Minga, the name plaque above the gate of the hall, spell out Fu Long Gong, which loosely translates to Temple of the Good Fortune Dragon. This red sedan chair is adorned with Ngo Lenki, or 5 color flags. These triangular banners are green, red, yellow, white, and black, representing the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, respectively. They are traditionally attached to a palanquin, shrine, or the back of a Masong medium. Therefore, they have a different purpose and meaning from the square command flags used by the Masong, which we will discuss later. Traditional Chinese roofs often feature upward curved corners, a design rooted in feng shui beliefs, according to which curved lines help ward off evil spirits, while straight lines are thought to attract them. At the edge of the parking lot, the shrine's event organizers have set up a long row of canopy tents where food will be distributed later. For now, though, devotees and participants can collect a red shirt featuring a printed image of Guan Yu in preparation for the upcoming procession. That procession starts here, at the Sri Sunthon Subdistrict Municipality office, where the organizers have set up a makeshift altar for their deities, thus allowing participants to pay proper respect through offerings and rituals before the parade commences. In addition to a burnt offering, the deities are presented with fruit, food, and drinks. Typically, the drinks are in the form of tea, traditionally offered in either 5 cups or, as seen here, in 3 small cups. These 3 cups symbolize the connection between heaven, earth, and humanity, as well as the different phases of time, if past, present, and future. This representation acknowledges the continuity of life, showing respect for the ancestors from the past, the present moment and its circumstances, and the hopes and aspirations for the future. Although it's still early morning, a large crowd of devotees has already gathered, most wearing loose-fitting white trousers, similar to traditional fishermen's pants. A group of women, all dressed in red traditional dresses, are starting to take up position. The ones leading the front row are holding a large red banner emblazoned with the shrine's name in gold, in both Thai and Chinese, that is Sahn Chao Tha Reua and Falun Gong, respectively. Behind them, a group of flag bearers hold tall banners in a variety of vibrant colors, mounted on elongated poles. The Masong, both male and female mediums, are also beginning to arrive. Whereas female Masong may wear kimono-like garments, the male Masong all wear white fisherman's pants, with or without a colored apron. Medical staff are on hand to care for spirit mediums who engage in ritualized mutilation, as well as to assist other participants if necessary. Regardless of gender, all mediums walk barefoot, and many carry various attributes or weapons such as dragon whips, axes, and swords, along with square hand-held banners, typically black or yellow, with Chinese characters and symbols. The colorful outfits and garments often feature patterns and colors that represent sacredness and their connection to specific deities. This female medium, dressed in a simple white gown, sways a fly whisk, a ritualistic object that signifies spiritual authority, purity, and detachment. This ceremonial tool, traditionally used to ward off negative energies, represents the ability to disperse illusions and remove distractions. Several of the younger, female Masong wear their hair styled in buns and dress in white, with either a short or long, red apron. They carry 1, or sometimes 2 hoops, reminiscent of the golden hoop, an attribute of Nezha, the Taoist child deity. This magical hoop, capable of changing size at its owner's command, is also known as the Ring of Fire or the Universe Ring. Some mediums distribute blessed candies as part of their spiritual rituals. Government officials and other authorities implemented measures to minimize traffic disruptions during the procession and ensured that the celebrations were conducted as safely as possible, utilizing escort vehicles for added security. This Masong, who wears a green apron and claims to be possessed by the spirit of Guan Yu, carries a green dragon crescent blade, a traditional Chinese weapon known as a Quan Dao. It has a heavy, serrated blade mounted on a pole that measures 1.5 to 1.8 meters in length. The deeply curved blade is somewhat reminiscent of a human hand, with a spike on the back and an indentation near its upper base, intended to catch an opponent's weapon. This weapon is designed primarily for defense rather than offense, used to disarm opponents and deflect their strikes rather than to launch attacks. According to legend, this weapon was invented by Guan Yu, which is why it bears his name. The term Masong is a compound of Ma, the Thai word for horse, and Song, which means riding. The latter is Rajasap, a specialized vocabulary used when speaking about or to sacred people or things, as in Song Ma, which translates to riding a horse. The term thus reflects how these individuals serve as vessels for spirits, much like a rider on a horse. The colors of the outfits worn by Masong during festivals and rituals carry religious and cultural significance, reflecting the deities and the types of energy with which the Masong are connecting. Red is viewed as a color of power and success in Chinese culture. It is linked with good luck, protection, and strength. Masong wear red outfits when they are representing deities associated with strong energy. Yellow is seen as the color of emperors and is connected with sacredness, purity, leadership, and knowledge. It is frequently used in Masong outfits that have ties to high-ranking deities. Green symbolizes growth and rejuvenation. It is associated with nature and life energy. Black embodies mystery and deep energy, often worn by Masong who represent deities that offer protection from evil. White signifies purity, cleanliness, and tranquility. It represents the keeping of vows and is typically used in rituals that require a sense of purity. These red palanquins, carrying religious statues, are adorned with the 5-color triangular banners mentioned earlier. The square flags used by the Masong spirit mediums are known as command flags or order flags, and have different names depending on their color. A black flag is known as O Lung Ki, or simply O Lung, meaning black command flag and black order, respectively, while a yellow flag is called Ung Lung Ki, or simply Ung Lung, meaning yellow command flag and yellow order, correspondingly. This Masong, dressed in a green apron with a trigram design, has the 5 colored banners, each featuring a dragon, attached to his back. His lips are pierced with pins, the handles of which are shaped like the heads of various deities. Another medium with his lips pierced, wearing a pink apron, a color commonly associated with gentleness, compassion, and love, is here related to the specific deity that this medium represents or embodies during his trance. This next medium in the parade wears a red apron and has his cheeks pierced with a single pin. Beyond color, Masong outfits often feature symbols that further emphasize the connection to the deities they represent. The command flags are thought to grant the medium absolute authority, enabling them to bestow blessings and provide protection to the devotees. Throughout the festival, firecrackers are used abundantly to add luster and noise to the celebrations. A rickshaw converted into a mobile altar, featuring statues of various deities, is accompanied by musicians playing trumpets, drums, and cymbals. The parade features a variety of banners hoisted on poles, adding vibrancy to the event. Alongside these banners are the so-called Taoist sun and moon fans, typically carried in pairs and embroidered with intricate Chinese symbols. One fan displays the Chinese character for sun, while the other bears the character for moon. In Buddhist iconography, the combination of these two characters, namely Ri for sun and Yu for moon, forms the character Ming, which means bright, clear, or to understand, and thus symbolizes enlightenment. Additionally, the fans seen here depict images with deeper meanings, such as a dragon representing male power, and a phoenix symbolizing the female counterpart, together embodying the principles of yin and yang. This anniversary celebration shares similarities with the Phuket Vegetarian Festival, also known as the Nine Emperor Gods Festival, or in Thai, Thetsakan Kin Jay, which is a 9-day Taoist festival that starts on the eve of the 9th lunar month in the Chinese calendar, which typically falls around October. The latter is primarily observed in Southeast Asian countries like Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, and Thailand, and is an important event for the Taoist Chinese community. The vegetarian festival coincides with the Hindu festival of Navaratri, an annual event spanning 9 nights, dedicated to the worship of 3 different forms of Shakti, which represents the female energy associated with a Hindu god. The first 3 nights are devoted to the terrible and destructive Kali or Mahakali, an aspect of Uma, the consort of Shiva. Devotees line the street as they eagerly await the parade, hoping to be noticed and blessed by one or more of the Masong mediums. Here, a Masong medium hands out a sacred orange cloth with Chinese characters printed on it, similar to Buddhist yang charms, for good fortune. Another item carried on a pole is the baogai, or precious canopy. This parasol, here adorned with a tubular cloth fringe featuring elaborate embroidery, serves as a symbol of royal authority and spiritual protection. Thus, besides being the symbol of a monarch, it represents spiritual authority and shelter for all living beings. Some devotees set up altars in front of their homes or shops and patiently wait for the Masong mediums to arrive and bless them. They crack their whips a few times, bless the food and fruit, then pick up a few items and give them straight back to their owners. They might also grab a handful of candy, bless it, and then carry it with them to distribute to other devotees lining the street. The shirtless medium picks up a bundle of burning joss sticks, which he first presses against the skin of his chest and on his back, and then puts in his mouth. Although these acts of public self-mutilation may seem extreme to outsiders, they are believed to honor the gods and help cleanse both the individual's body and spirit, as well as those of the community. Typically, only unmarried individuals without families, regardless of gender, can become Masong mediums. Before they can become full-fledged spirit mediums, candidate Masong must undergo a series of protective rituals at the temple to prepare them for these intense practices, which include flagellation and self-mutilation. Many of the Masong ceremonial aprons and their command flags feature trigrams, typically with a yin-yang symbol at the center. A trigram is a geomantic symbol representing the 8 cardinal directions. Each trigram is made up of a unique combination of 3 lines, which can be either broken, representing yin, or unbroken, representing yang. In divination or fortune-telling, trigrams are often arranged in a circular pattern, with the yin-yang symbol at the center, signifying the balance between opposing forces.
125 ปีนะครับศาลเจ้าท่าเรือนะครับขอขอบคุณทุกท่านนะครับที่ตั้งโต๊ะรับนะครับแล้วก็ขอบคุณทุกท่านนะครับที่ให้การสนับสนุนเครื่องดื่มนะครับต่างๆในวันนี้ขอบคุณมากครับ
As the procession nears its final destination at the shrine, it passes by a local business family's elaborate street-side altar. While the older merit makers sit on chairs, awaiting the arrival of the spirit mediums, the younger generation moves toward the parade, offering candy and drinks to the participants. The extra effort this family has put into their altar appears to have attracted the attention of the spirit mediums, many of whom stop by to bless the shrine, perform rituals, and offer personal blessings to some family members. The Masong medium carrying the Kuan U blade tosses rice, while foam froths on his lips. The medium with skewers through his lips walks past the shrine without stopping, probably because the sheer number of skewers makes it impractical to perform rituals. Following a medium dressed in a yellow apron, 2 sedan chairs make their way through the procession, one bearing a statue of Guan Yu, and the other, a statue of Nezha, the Taoist child deity. Nezha was the 3rd son of Li Jing, a high-ranking military commander at the Old Pon Pass, and Lady Yin. His elder brothers were named Jincha and Muzha. Legend has it that his mother carried him in her womb for 42 months before giving birth to a ball of flesh. Believing it was a demon, Li Jing attacked the ball with his sword, splitting it open to reveal Nezha, who emerged as a young boy, already able to walk and speak. Soon, Nezha caused chaos, killing Or Bing, the 3rd son of Or Guang. the Dragon King of the East Sea, during a playtime fight near the sea. Guan, enraged, threatened to report Nezha to the Jade Emperor and to flood the Old Pond Pass, capturing his parents in retaliation. To save his family, Nezha sacrificed himself, offering all his internal organs to Guan in exchange for his parents' safety. This moved the Dragon King, who, despite killing Nezha, spared his family. Later, an immortal revived Nezha, using lotus roots to create a new body for his soul. With this new life, Nezha became a protection deity. The senior family members sit with their hands folded in reverence, each holding 3 incense sticks. In Buddhism, these 3 sticks symbolize the trirat, the 3 gems or 3 jewels, which are the 3 pillars of Buddhist devotion, namely the Buddha, his teachings, called the Dhamma, and the monastic community, known as the Sangha. More spirit mediums pause at the family's altar, where they are offered tea. In Chinese culture, tea represents friendship and camaraderie, a tradition that reflects the practice of welcoming guests with tea in Chinese homes. The tea is often poured to about 70% of the cup's capacity, symbolizing that the remaining 30% is filled with friendship and warmth. In accordance with Confucius's guidance, behave toward everyone as if receiving a great guest. The English word tea likely has its roots in the Hokkien dialect of Fujian, China, where the locals referred to it as tea. Dutch traders, who were among the first to export tea to Europe, adopted this term, which then spread across Europe. Because the Dutch word tea sounded like the letter T, it was anglicized as tea, giving us the term we use today. As the tail end of the procession comes into view, a light rain begins to fall, prompting us to make our way toward the shrine's main hall. As the palanquins carrying the statues of deities enter the complex, they are greeted with a burst of firecrackers. While the firecrackers set off startled some people with their sudden noise, the entranced Masong mediums seemed to pass by without any noticeable reaction. Some of the Masong seemed to reach a frenzied climax, waving their flags and jumping around with heightened energy, spurred on by the noise of the firecrackers. Most devotees, sympathizers, and visitors now head upstairs to the main hall. We enter the shrine behind the last sedan chair, the one that is carried exclusively by women. Some women find themselves uncomfortably close to the firecrackers, prompting two mediums to rush over with their command flags to shield them and escort them safely past the explosions. As I glance back, I see two spirit mediums dance energetically, surrounded by the burst and crackle of firecrackers erupting at their feet. In the background are another two female mediums standing barefoot on firecrackers that have just been set off. The shrine buzzed with electric energy as the spirit mediums entered, accompanied by the steady beat of drums and the sharp clang of cymbals. Firecrackers erupted in rapid bursts all around us, filling the crowd with excitement and a palpable sense of anticipation for what was to come next. The Masong were now all around us, some covered in blood from self-inflicted wounds. A few had already emerged from their trance-like states, while others continued their intense rituals. We make our way through the crowd. Inside, the ritual to bring the spirit mediums out of their trances had already begun. We watched as the ceremony was repeated multiple times, with each medium lining up to undergo the same process. To come out of their trance, the Masong make their way to an altar dedicated to their deity, where they perform a dramatic ritual. They discard their ceremonial items and apron, then strike the altar with both hands before collapsing backward as if fainting. A helper steps in to catch them, while another attendant whispers incantations and gives them a gentle slap to revive them. Some attendants cover the medium's face with the command flag after they collapse backward, gently placing their hands on the flag to touch the medium's face or chest. From a Judeo-Christian perspective, combined with academic theological training, one can't help but question whether the medium's claims of possession and their unusual behaviors, like constantly shaking their heads back and forth, foaming at the mouth, self-mutilation, and even imitating animal sounds, are rooted in occultism or indicate demonic activity. While the male mediums turn to the left to exit their trance at an altar adorned with statues of predominantly male deities, the female Masong head to the right, where an altar featuring a statue of Kuan U and other female deities awaits. There is no specific academic study focused solely on demonic activity by Taoist spirit mediums, and the Taoist community itself claims it has a strong focus on purification and religious devotion, rather than demonic themes. The Masong tradition in Thailand bears similarities to the Tanki practice, which is also prevalent in Chinese communities in Singapore and Malaysia. Tanki is the Hokkien word for Tongji, meaning youth diviner. These practitioners, commonly known as spirit mediums, are believed to be chosen by a specific Shen, which is a Chinese deity or spirit. As spirit mediums, they serve as vessels for divine communication. This function aligns them with the Taoist Masong, but they differ from shamans. In Chinese culture, shamans, known as Wu, are seen as people who can exert control over the spirit world. In contrast, a Tongji, or spirit medium, is viewed as someone who is entirely under the influence of spiritual forces. One thought on my observations is that in biblical stories, possession is depicted as an overpowering and uncontrollable state where individuals are at the mercy of external spiritual forces, unable to free themselves without divine intervention. Examples like the Gadarene demoniac and the possessed boy in the New Testament illustrate how those under the influence of malevolent spirits often experience destructive behavior and require an external source, such as Jesus, to be freed. On the other hand, spirit mediums from various cultural contexts demonstrate a different approach to possession, where they can enter and exit trances or states of possession at will. These mediums use their abilities to communicate with spirits, perform rituals, and heal others, reflecting a more controlled and purposeful relationship with spiritual entities. Unlike biblical possession, which often signifies distress and requires exorcism, spirit mediums view their roles as sacred, with possession serving a community or spiritual purpose. The key difference between the two lies in the level of control and intention. Biblical possession is involuntary and often harmful, while spirit mediums manage their states and view possession as a meaningful practice. However, the Bible clearly warns against any form of fortune-telling, divination, and similar practices because they can open the door to demonic influences. In the Old Testament, witchcraft, soothsaying, and consulting with spirits is prohibited, and the New Testament echoes this caution by listing sorcery among behaviors contrary to the spirit. These warnings are rooted in the belief that relying on fortune-telling or similar practices instead of God's sovereignty can lead to spiritual risks and potentially harmful influences. Christian traditions therefore encourage seeking wisdom and guidance through prayer, scripture, and the community of believers, rather than turning to occult practices. When it comes to Masong spirit mediums, questions persist about the true nature of their control over possession, as well as their intentions. It's unclear whether their states of possession are indeed temporary, involuntary, and benign, or if they are linked to potentially dormant demonic activity that can be activated when triggered. Further investigation and understanding are needed to determine whether their experiences are merely a cultural phenomenon or something with deeper, potentially darker spiritual implications. In any case, the behaviors displayed by the Masong spirit mediums are quite unusual for most contemporary observers. Anyone witnessing these practices will likely find the experience unforgettable, as it differs significantly from common religious or cultural rituals. Some might view these behaviors with fascination, while others could find them deeply unsettling, appearing benign on the outside but potentially hiding something darker. While a few remaining Masong spirit mediums, still in a state of trance, continue with yet another ritual, we decide it's time to leave. We'll return later this evening for the ceremonial inauguration of the new statue of Nezha. What we can conclude so far is that everyone at the shrine has been incredibly friendly and welcoming, and we are grateful to them and their community for inviting us to be a part of this. With the procession complete, we take a break and head to the parking area, where free food is being distributed to visitors and devotees as part of the shrine's anniversary celebrations. When we return to the shrine in the evening, the outer area is calm, as the inauguration ceremony has already begun inside. The Masong spirit mediums are back in a state of trance, shaking their heads rhythmically as they stand in a semicircle around the altar on the front porch, where the statue of Nezha has been placed. The male mediums gather to the left, while the female Masong stand to the right of the altar. One of the mediums is striking a muyu, or wooden fish, a bell-like percussion instrument commonly used in Mahayana Buddhism. It has a bulbous shape with a wide opening at the front and is often carved with scales or fish-like motifs on its back. Each time a bell rings, the mediums lift their command flags in front of their faces. Then, the ceremonial part abruptly ends, and the devotees begin the official welcoming of the statue with the rhythmic beating of drums and the clanging of bells. The ringing of bells and the beating of drums at Taoist shrines are believed to dispel negative energy or evil spirits. The vibrations produced by these instruments can be seen as cleansing, helping to purify the space and those within it. Whereas drums, with their deep, resonant sound, can symbolize strength, authority, and the heartbeat of life, bells symbolize harmony, peace, and the voice of the divine. With the unveiling and official inauguration complete, we can now take a full look at the new statue of Nezha. Devotees have lined its base with pineapples, fruits that in Taoism symbolize prosperity. Once the male mediums left, the female Masong approached to pay their respects to the new statue. Among these women, several are dressed as Taoist priestesses, with one carrying a dragon staff akin to a bishop's crozier. Taoism has historically provided more significant roles for women compared to traditional patriarchal structures in ancient and imperial China. Some Taoist schools recognized the unique spiritual abilities of women, often viewing them as intermediaries with deities who could receive revealed texts and scriptures. Furthermore, Taoist tradition includes notable female divinities and figures such as the Queen Mother of the West, patron of immortality, Yixinggu, one of the 8 immortals, and Mazu, the protectress of sailors and fishermen, demonstrating the long-standing acknowledgement of women's roles within Taoism. In Taoism, offerings to deities are made as a sign of respect and to seek blessings. Common offerings often consist of fruits, typically a plate containing 5 small fruits such as apples, oranges, or pears, and occasionally a single large fruit like a pineapple. Other items might include steamed buns, cakes, and cooked meat. Some devotees also offer lighted cigarettes and Chinese wine, generally for underworld deities, while incense and candles are customary for all deities. The male Masong gather once more at the altar on the left to undergo a detrance ritual, where they are exorcised from the possession by a deity, while female mediums proceed to the altar on the right. Taoism is an influential philosophy that was founded in China, probably in the 4th century BC by Lao Tzu. It advocates humility and religious piety. The Tao Te Ching, a foundational text, underpins Taoism, in which Tao is the ultimate and primordial principle that encompasses everything. The objective of Taoism is to align with the Tao by understanding the universal law that everything eventually returns to its source. The concept of Tao has been described metaphorically as a square circle, a sound that can't be heard, and an image without form. It represents everything and nothing simultaneously, and although it is everywhere, it can be found without actively seeking it. With the official ceremonies concluded, a Chinese opera performance is now beginning in a tent set up in front of the main shrine. The performances are conducted in Chinese and combine elements of drama, intense speech, and melodic recitation. The actors' faces are often heavily adorned with makeup, and they wear vibrant Chinese costumes, sometimes complemented by eye-catching headdresses. In China, these performances are widely available in various locations. However, in Thailand, only larger cities typically have permanent theaters, while smaller towns and villages generally rely on touring troupes to bring these performances to them. At the conclusion of the performance, the actors left the stage and entered the shrine to join the shrine's top officials for a group photograph. While they waited, other visitors took advantage of the opportunity to take photos with the performers, dressed in their vibrant costumes and adorned with striking makeup. A group photo was then taken after everyone lined up. Once the photo session was over, they paid their respects to the new Nezha statue and burned incense sticks as part of the ritual. Outside, a balloon artist was busy twisting and shaping balloons into various creations for children, such as animals, hats, and other fun designs. Ta Reua means boat wharf or port, a name that resonates with the presence of this Chinese junk located along the canal in front of the shrine. With this, the day's festivities drew to a close, and we walked back to our car, taking a final look at the towering Guan Yu statue near the parking lot. We were thankful for this unique experience, feeling honored to have been invited to the community's celebrations despite being outsiders.